Hi, I'm Tim and welcome to How To, our new series where I show you how to use watches. Today we set perpetual calendars starting with Patek Philippe. We're going to start with the Patek Philippe Perpetual Calendar Chronograph 5970G. Now this watch features a perpetual calendar that is by far the most labor-intensive we'll see today, meaning it's something Henri Stern would have recognized in his lifetime. That means we have 4 separate pusher correctors, and the watch will require a few things. First, a dedicated pusher corrector tool. You will not use a ballpoint pen. That will damage the watch. You'll get a big service bill. You will not be happy. So use an actual pusher corrector tool like the one included with the watch. Also, we need a reference, and because all Patek Philippe calendar modules have different exclusion zones, that is the hours when you cannot use the pushers, we're going to want to make sure that we have the reference specifically for the model at hand, and that's exactly what we have right here. Take note, the exclusion zone here is 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. Do not use the pushers to set the calendar during those hours. Now you can see what they all do. The pusher between the lugs at 6 is for the moon phase. You have a push piece for the day of the week up at 10 o'clock. Between the lugs, the first moving clockwise, is a compound date, moon phase, and day corrector, and then next to that a month and leap year corrector. The two are coupled together. So what you want to do is start by ensuring the watch has rolled through the date change. Patek Philippe recommends this as the safest way to set your perpetual calendar. So what I'm doing now is I am moving through the date change and the calendar roll at midnight, but I am also advancing to 6:30 in the morning. This way we know we are solidly out of that danger zone, and we can start using our pusher correctors. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set the date because it's coupled to the moon phase and the day. So I'm going to set the date first. Once I've set the date, I'm going to set the day. Once I've set the day, I'm going to set the month and the leap year. And remember, as I adjust the month, I adjust the leap year. The Summer Olympic year is always zone 4, so just keep that in mind. That is the final phase of the leap year cycle. And last, I'm going to go to the moon phase. And the way you do this is you set it to a new moon, that is no moon visible. And then go online, look up the current age of the moon. And I don't mean 4.53 billion years. I mean the age of the moon phase. And if it's 13 days, toggle the moon phase adjuster 13 times. Now you're there. Wind the watch, set the correct time. Congratulations, you have set your Patek Philippe. Now, in 1985, IWC watchmaker Klaus created a revolutionary programmed and coordinated calendar system, and it's still in service today. Here we have the IWC Portuguese Perpetual Calendar. This is going to be much less complicated. The pusher adjustment tool goes away, though if you get this calendar on a JLC, you will need the pusher corrector. Here, everything is done through the crown. Now, similar to the last time, I want to make sure that I advance through midnight, and as I do so, I can see the calendar turns over. This also has an exclusion zone of 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. Now I am at 6:30, and you can see that all I do is pull the crown as though I'm setting the date on a date just, and I start turning. Look how everything moves in sync. Day, date, month, moon phase, even the year and the decade. But what's critical here is that it is linear and it is unidirectional. So if you advance beyond the current date in the year indicated, you will have to put it down, or if you go too far, send it back to IWC to reverse the calendar. So don't go too far. Watch your progress with this watch. Be deliberate, be slow, and be careful. Now, another fun fact about this calendar system is that only the year and the decade are actually driven by the movement. So if the century changes, then you use this. This is the century slide, and your IWC watchmaker can insert the 23rd, 24th, and 25th centuries into the watch when the time comes. You still want to check your reference so you know this is 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. That is the time when you will not use the quickset system, but it is much less complicated. Now, if you are buying one of these used, make sure that you're looking at a real combination of day, date, month, and moon phase, because it's not unheard of for these to get out of sync. And now we move to a much more sophisticated perpetual calendar, one conceived in the 90s. Ludwig cut his teeth in horology, restoring clocks for the Vatican, many of which were exceptionally complicated, calendar-based, used to calculate the vernal equinox, the start of Easter. And starting in 1996, he deployed that knowledge on perpetual calendars at Ulysse Nardin with the Perpetual Ludwig mechanism we see here. Now this is the Aqua Perpetual calendar, and we start exactly the same way as we would with any other perpetual. We get our reference to find out what the exclusion zone is, and in this case, it is actually 8:30 p.m. to 3 a.m., and I roll through the date change to 6:30 in the morning. Now, this is very different from the IWC because I can actually adjust the calendar in both directions. While there's still an exclusion zone, I don't have to worry about advancing past the current day, date, month, or even year. And you can see we do have the year and the decade down at the base of the dial. This is an incredibly sophisticated system and one of the few perpetual calendars that will not have to go back to the factory in the year 2100, which, due to a quirk of the Gregorian calendar, will not be a leap year. Adjust in both directions, just stay out of the date change danger zone. So this is an example of a modern bidirectional perpetual calendar with a quickset. We can do even a little bit better. In 2006, the reborn Moser Cie, along with independent watchmaking maestro Andreas Streller, introduced the perpetual. In the current era of Moser, the Endeavor Perpetual tantalum that you see right here uses that brilliant bidirectional calendar system. Now, Streller is known for taking complicated mechanisms and making them present and operate in simple fashion. So when he created the perpetual calendar system for Moser, the first thing he did was eliminate the date change danger zone. You can set this calendar any time of day without danger. Now, there's a double pull mechanism here, so when you pull the crown out on a Moser perpetual, the first stop, it'll actually bring you to a halt, is used for adjusting the calendar bidirectionally. Now look at the center of the dial. You can see that little jumping index, 12 hours, 12 months. So the stub index, coaxial with the hand, indicates the current month corresponding to one of the 12 hours. So 12 is December, 1 is January. Very simple. And again, you can adjust it in both directions. Take a quick look on the flank, and there's a pusher adjuster again. We might have to bring back our pusher tool because on the reverse side, Streller decided to hide the leap year phase indicator, reasoning that you rarely need to see or acknowledge it. He simply hid it away, creating a beautifully complex but also elegantly simple interface system for a perpetual calendar, making this both the easiest calendar to use and the most robust on today's program. And that is how to set a perpetual calendar.